My name's Kyla. I've played video games for way too long, and I am okay at them. I've been playing for like 16 years, specifically FPS games, and I've started IGLing when I was like 16 years old, and I've just really enjoyed it.
I stands for in G game L leader.
Awesome. But
But
what's that
for,
mean?
but for real though, I'd say the IGL is the one that uh, manages the information, the most information for the team, and delivers it back to them.
Okay,
I,
yeah, awesome. So, in my opinion, basically what the IGL is it's the person that is going to basically control the tempo and of the game and make a lot of decisions revolving what we call macro play. So like strategies, defaults, rotations, and that sort of thing. So by that, I mean like the very, very basics of it would be something like, okay, we're gonna rush A, we're gonna rush B. Okay, let's go ahead and rotate everybody from A or B. Or we're gonna do this on the retake. Um, Pretty much anybody can be an IGL if you can, just have the motivation and the dedication to, and the confidence to, call shots for your team.
I shouldn't.
Because no one else.
Because you feel like you have all the qualities of a good IGL.
Great, yes, sir does.
Thank you, Miss Sweet.
So basically, if you think that like you meet these criteria, like you're good at managing your team's emotions, you really enjoy like the macro management sort of thing. And if you're a control freak like me and you like to know everything that's going on at all times, IGLing might be like a good fit for you. Um, Another thing is sometimes it's like not by choice, it's out of necessity because there's just like nobody on your team that will step up and be able to do that. And in that case, you're definitely going to have to work a little bit harder at it than somebody who just really, really enjoys doing it. But it doesn't mean that you'll be bad at it as long as you like kind of keep some of these things in mind. Uh, what do you think are some of like the qualities of a bad IGL and then some of the qualities of a good IGL?
Is it somebody who concerns themselves too much with the micro? Because they should be focusing on the macro?
Not necessarily, but you did bring up kind of like a good point
to
with that.
um, to me, like the first thing that comes to mind is a bad IGL doesn't have strong mental.
That's really good. And what do you mean by that? So basically what strong, and this is like one of the most important things I think an IGL should have, is that a good IGL will be calm and collected and basically have their wits about them throughout the whole game. So it's kind of your job as the IGL for like when other people on your team are tilting, or if you guys are like losing some rounds, or if all of your shots are not landing or you're not working together that day, is to be that voice in everybody's head that is going to be like, okay, it's okay, guys, we got this, we could do this. Just remember what we practice um, and etc., that sort of thing. So I think that one of the biggest qualities of a good IGL is being focused on, keeping managing your team's emotions. So another thing that I would put like with a bad IGL is that they're focused too much on micromanagement. So one of the biggest things that being a good IGL requires is the trust of all of your players. And I'm really good at spelling, by the way. So you need to like have that conversation when you first like sit down with your players to say, hey, I just need you guys to trust me in game and have good comms and try and, stay away from the toxicity. And in return, I am going to trust you guys to do what we practice and what you need to do. So you're basically like a good boss when you're the IGL. Like you're gonna trust your teammates to do the work that you're like assigning them to do. Anything else kind of like for good or oh yeah, one more. So that being said, micromanagement is bad. So in that sense, like if Freya, for example, is playing Sova, I'm not gonna tell her, and I do this sometimes, I'm not gonna tell her what to dart or what to recon. I'm just gonna trust that, she knows the best time to use it. Or I'm gonna ask her, it's like, hey, can you please recon this for me? I want to push up. And it's just like kind of having a conversation like that. And having good macro management though is the best IGLs will constantly, be looking at their mini map and paying attention to everything that's happening. And you have to be really good at basically processing new information that comes into you. So for example, if Des was playing with me and she just got a kill at, let's say, B long on bind, and she said, yeah, I have the bomb down. And then somebody else on the A site was like, yeah, there's one lurking outside of showers. I have to then, in my head, be like, okay, let's go ahead and anchor one person at A, because if the bomb's down B long, they might like go through the teleporter or something. So those are like some of the kind of like macro plays that you have to think about in order to be a really good IGL, and just understanding like how the information is coming in, and that it's your job based on what your teammates are calling out to then tell the team like what they're gonna do. Does that make sense? Does that make sense?
Or rather, demanding it.
So I think a good example, and probably the most well-known example of micromanagement would be backseat gaming. So like when you're IGLing, like you're just trying to like think really fast and do a lot of stuff and think, but you don't want to think for your players. So like if Kaylee's working a pick and she's in a clutch and she's in like a 1v3, you do not want to talk. You just want to trust what she's gonna do. You don't want to be like, oh, flash now, or okay, peek now, or peek, or they're on the bomb, or things like that. So you don't want to be telling your players how to play while they're playing. You want to give them direction on like the next thing that they should do in a broader sense. So like a good macro management versus a good micro management would be, say we're playing on split and I want somebody from A heaven to start rotating over to B. Then I say, let's get one from B. Kaylee, can you rotate now? That is, and then I don't tell her how to rotate though, because I'm gonna take like her, skill and knowledge, and then she'll choose if she wants to rotate through CT, or if she wants to go through vent, or if she wants to flank. As opposed to being like, Kaylee, go through vent right now, crawl up the vent right now, shoot them right now,
Don't do that to
which
me.
is yeah, for sure. So
That
that's
makes
kind
sense.
of macro and micromanagement. Management. The next kind of step is you guys might already have a team, but this is a little bit of a deeper topic rather than just saying, making a team or whatever. So by making a team, what I meant by this point for like being an IGL is you want to think about like some of these following things. You want to think about player, skill, player, personalities, agents, and these are, oh my goodness, I'm so good at spelling. So these would be like the main things that you're thinking of when you're, starting a team. So first of all, you want everybody to be like kind of in a similar game state knowledge. Um, so like if you're on a silver team, it's not gonna quite make sense for you to like have an immortal player on it, or like an iron player, because you won't like quite have the opportunity to grow unless you have that like much higher ranked player, kind of like being your coach and your guide, and they're willing to like slow down. And the same thing for like if you're playing, like if you're a bronze player and then you're gonna go play on a plat team, it's just gonna be harder for you to keep up. Um, and there might be like a lot of teaching that needs to be done first, which is why like one of the major benefits of having the different leagues, like the learning league, the owning league, and the open league. So there's a nice range where you guys could all kind of like learn together within that elo. So the next thing that you want to take into account is that player personalities are huge. So the biggest downfall of a lot of teams is like toxicity and just kind of like negative energy between people. So you really want to try and like pick players that enjoy playing together and have something that like a lot of teams will talk about. So good chemistry. So good chemistry basically means that you guys are like friends and you're having fun playing the game. And there's like no genuine like ill will towards anybody else. And if there's any of that on there, that's more like up to your captain. Sometimes the IGL and the captain are the same, but you just want to make sure too that at least during like the in-game situation that people have good chemistry. Like an example of this too is Kaylee and I have been on a ton of teams together, so we got really, really used to playing off each other. So instead of just having like regular chemistry, then we have like really, really good chemistry where we eventually will start to, learn how to play off each other, or Kaylee knows what I'm about to do before I even do it. I know that Kaylee's gonna, flank up cat when I'm holding tree or something on a scent. And that's something that you should look out for as an IGL, because then if like you have two players on your team that have really good chemistry, then for like your shots and stuff, you're gonna just have them play together all the time and play off of each other. But eventually, like hopefully it could be like this cohesive unit where you could all just learn each other's habits and how to play off each other. So the next thing is agents. This one's pretty simple. You can't have 5 jet mains on your team. Can't have 5 sage mains on your team. You just want like a healthy mix of, initiators, controllers, duelists, sentinels, etc. So next thing right here is I made this little sheet. So if you are actually starting a brand new team, you could put like the players that you have right here, and then all their agents right next to that. And then I have these nice little tabs where there's like stuff for each map, and you can just put your information on here. So that way, just like an organized place to put it. So basically what this means is like the defender side, um, where the player is going to play. 3 setups means is like trying to find 3 different places to play in a site. Uh, attacker side default is like where this player is going to go on attacker side. And then B side default is where they're going to go. It's like you're going to go towards B. So just basically like a really quick example of what I mean by that is, um, so like if Kaylee was playing this person and we put her here, then if Des was playing this person and we put her here, and then if Freya was playing this person,
Why am
then
I
I'm playing,
brimstone?
because you are, then I'm playing this person, and Saj is playing this person. So this is just like you would say, okay, so Breach is going to be, or Des is going to be playing towards long B, Kaylee's going to be playing site B, Frey's gonna be playing U-Haul, Kylie's gonna be setting up her Killjoy stuff, A site, and Sag is gonna be watching shower. And then you just put that all on this little template so that way it's organized and people could just like have a reference point for it. So the next thing I kind of want to talk about a little bit is how to communicate effectively. And basically that just means like it's also your job as an IGL to do a little bit of coaching on like what a good call out is. So does anybody want to kind of like give me an example of what a good call out would be?
They're coming up ramps, at least 2.
Yeah, so that's good. So it's basically just like a short and concise sort of thing right there. So basic kind of call out stuff is pretty simple. So you just want to tell your team, I just want short, concise callouts that are accurate without guessing. The next part is a little bit different. It's typically you don't want to like change up what you've been practicing too much in the middle of the game. So you just have to have like if you're the IGL, you're gonna be the person calling the shots. Maybe like share responsibilities with somebody else, but people should just be kind of like listening to you for the most part. If they have a suggestion, you could throw that in there, but don't like throw out your whole game plan, you know, as soon as something starts to go wrong. So the next part is just like kind of building some team chemistry, and honestly, like it's just getting to know each other and hanging out and playing together. Um, so just like play together. So this next part right here is something that like I would just go over with your team. These 2 questions are actually the first thing that I ask. Like whenever on a new team, I always ask them, what's the difference between a team and a pug or like a pickup game or just like some randomly thrown together players? So what do you guys think the differences are there? Anybody?
Maybe.
Puggers play for themselves. Teams trade, make decisions together.
Awesome. So pugs, and you kind of like just hit it on the head there. You're playing for yourself, and then in like competitive play, so this is basically like the whole concept that, especially like on a newer team, that you want to be teaching them is how to start kind of playing together. And I could go ahead, I'm going to show you guys an example of what I mean by that. And just like kind of communicating some plays really quick. So here's an example from the Galorants tournament that we were in. Freya and I. Oh, did I not get the timestamp on this? One sec. Oh, I didn't. It's fine.
Hey, I have a question.
Yes.
What does a pug stand for?
It's a pickup game. So essentially, like when you're playing comp with a bunch of randoms, with like people that you don't know and that you don't play with a lot of the time, or a team that is less used to playing with each other. So, for example, there was a couple of pug teams or pickup teams in the most recent tournament that we had in that didn't typically play together. They just kind of like joined up just for that tournament to play together, so they weren't as cohesive as some of the other teams.
Oh, okay.
Awesome. So this is just a clip. I want to show you guys basically what happened here in this round and like some of the benefits of playing with your team and understanding like what playing together actually means. So this is the round 3 of our first playoff game. So right here, I got my ultimate ability fairly early in the game. And I want to make a play with my team and play together with my team in a way that you would probably never see in like a ranked game or with a team that hasn't like played together enough. So basically what we're going to do is we're going to make a play where I go out with my ult and Vernina and Liz, 2 of my teammates, also go out at the same time, and we want to try and take control of this portion of the map. So I'm just going to play that right now.
Hello? Babe, are you talking?
Yeah, Kyla, if you're talking.
Oh,
we
I
can hear
muted myself. Oops.
you.
Did you guys hear the whole part about how like what I was saying before that though, before I muted myself?
No.
About how
Yeah,
this is a cohesive play? Okay.
Oh,
yeah, we
yeah.
did,
Cool.
we did.
Okay, cool. Yeah, so this is basically just like a cohesive play that we rehearse and how you should be thinking as an IGL of different things that you could do with your team with good team chemistry. So the way that we practice this play is as soon as Vernina boombots out, once their crosshairs are kind of like looking on this area of the map, I ult out right away. As soon as my ult goes out and I flash out, Vernina peeks out, and then Liz comes to secure any trade kills. We have a watching long and we have an alarm bot watching long. So that way we know that they're not going to instantly, run into sight and flank us right away. As soon as we got a lot of information right here that we had full map control and spike down, you can see that Frey is instantly rotating over and Spite is instantly rotating over too. So that's just kind of like a quick example of what playing together means versus like the even like possibility of a play like this happening in one of your ranked games, like with this much coordination, is really, really low. So it's your job as an IGL to kind of like think of different situations where you could do things like that to play together on your team. So we already talked about that. So this is a really, really cool tool right here. I actually didn't even know about this, but Days brought it up to me. This is like in the little resource thing, but you can pretty much put like any kind of like strat that you want on the map. So if I was gonna say, all right, if I was gonna plan that exact strat that we had out, so I'd be playing right here. We'd have Freya right here covering my body. We had
Mhm.
Alex watching showers passively, or Spite, sorry. We had Liz coming up hookah with us. We had Vernina in hookah. Then we had the boombot going out this way. We had the Killjoy stuff set up here. Where is it? Watching long. An alarm bot here and a swarm grenade here too. Just slow them down if they went that way. Then I ulted out this way. So this is just like kind of just like a quick little showing of this useful tool that you could do. And then If you get the pro version, you could save it, but you could also just like kind of like take a screenshot of it too. So that's just kind of like a way to do strategies. And the best way for like general strategy execution is practice. So basically like for the tournament that our Team Uwe Diana FTC got second in, we were scrimming in all the time. Like we were practicing all the time. We went over like this kind of stuff outside of the game before we hopped into a scrim. A lot of it wasn't just like done off the fly, you know? Um, and now we're gonna go into ways on how you can practice. So this is a pretty cool little tool. This is Valorant's, or what's it called? Mobalytics map tool. Basically they'll just give you like a little map like this for everything. I don't really use all of these callouts, but it'll be a good way for your team just to like visualize what everything's called, and especially like on a newer team or even like a more advanced team. You want to make sure that you have a general name for each of these spots. The higher and higher up you go, you want to obviously have names for some other spots too, like here, here, and here, because a lot of times people will call things like all different names. So some people will call this cubby and then this closet. Some people will call this closet this cubby. So you just want to make sure as the IGL that your whole team's on the same page for what you're going to call what. Like people, I don't know anybody that calls this B lobby. Like we call this fountain, but maybe somebody only knows it as B lobby. You just want to, firm that up before you start playing some games. So the best way to practice uh, is to start off like with the practice tool in game and just hop into a custom server and go over stuff. So can you guys see with my game on it right now?
Yeah.
Cool. So to do that, you want to go to the custom game mode options, turn on cheats, and then have all your people join. Usually I have my team start an observer when I'm going over stuff, and then you just start the match. I'm just going through like the super basics in case you guys have never done this before, and like what to do to kind of like set this up and make sure that everything's paused and you can fly around and everything like that. So first thing you want to do is you go to cheats right here. It's gonna be on the far right, and then you want to end the first game phase. So that way the timer goes around and the round started now. And then you go ahead and pause the match timer. So now it's gonna be stuck. If you could see at the top of my screen, it says 133. And then you could turn on all of your abilities and just basically all this: infinite abilities, infinite ammo, magazines, creds, and it turns off the shopping restrictions. Next thing you want to turn on is the ghost mode to get to any kind of like spot that you want to get to. So I'm just gonna be like, so say I was like teach my team a little bit about like a setup that we're going to do over here for defense side. The cool thing about this too is that you have infinite abilities. So say like you had a killjoy turret, you could put it in a couple of different places. But so if I were to like set up a crossfire or like try and teach my team about like a different angle, like, okay, so one of our setups I'm gonna play right here, watching this person walk out. And then you and your cat person, you could be like, okay, then if you're gonna be playing that there, I'll be playing like a spot a little bit more aggressive just so they don't walk up cat on you. So maybe you're like shoulder jiggle peeking this for information. But in this situation, since this person's further back, I'd tell my team that you probably shouldn't play here unless like you're Reyna or Jet, just because it's gonna be really hard for you to fall back or for your teammate to help you. Or so that's just generally what I use the practice tool for, is stuff like that. And then once like you have explained everything for your team, that's when you have everybody like you just restart the lobby, have everybody like go on a team, and then you could actually like practice sitting in those setups. So then I would just be sitting in here, and let's say like I had Kaylee sitting on cat, and then maybe I have my other 3 teammates, try and take the site from us. So lots of practice tool. So once you've done all that, you're ready to do some scrimmages. Um, as you could see, and where is it? Uh, there's a section right here called looking for scrim, and then you could find like scrims here. And let's say, okay, looking for scrim Friday 6 PST, diamond 3 or diamond plus. And that's pretty much all you do for that. Next thing, you can do like comp to practice and stuff, but scrimmages are better. This is more good for, like kind of building team unity, that sort of thing. So for match day, it's really, really important for you like to be that emotional anchor for your team. So just want to stretch that again. You guys should all be super confident in your ability, especially you. So that way, you could pass that energy onto your team, and that you guys have put in all that effort and all the work that you need to do to win. But you also have to be on the inverse of that too. It's okay to lose. Um, you learn more when you lose than if you like stomp somebody, because you figure out like where your weak points are when you lose, and you gotta remind your team of that. Maybe not like right before the match, but maybe just like set expectations. Maybe you're going against like a full diamond squad and you guys are gold or something like that. And you just need to remember that and tell your team that it's about improving to get better. And that brings us on to that. So whether it's a match, a tournament, or whatever, your improvements your goal as a team. And that should like kind of be your focus and your kind of takeaway after every match. And then you just have to keep in mind too, like there's always going to be a better team out there. You're never going to be the best in the world unless you're like that one team on a crazy win streak in Korea. But even then, there's probably a better team in EU or NA that would be able to take a win off of them. And then just to end, I'll play a couple of clips of what really good teamwork can do versus a team that is way, way better than you. So we played against Zoe's team in the finals of Yuletide Brawl, and they're like 100% better than us. Every single one of their players outranked every single one of our players, and they were all just, absolutely insane at the game. But what we did took them by surprise a little bit because even though like we were not as good of a team, we used our teamwork to, surprise them a little bit and take some rounds off of them. So this is just what I mean by like coming up with things and like what you can achieve if you play together as a team, and you even have a chance to beat, people that are way more experienced, way better at the game than you, as long as you're working together. So here's just like the first pistol round from this. So that's just like a play we did where we were playing together. We come back, fast forward a little bit. Oh, And if you see right here, we're all playing really patient. Liz is playing really patient, and we're all just playing together. Even though like Emily's insane, Panda's insane, Zoe's insane, but we just wait, play together, and we have a chance. You know. And then I just have one more clip, and then we could wrap up. And I hope you guys win all your games.
This hurts.
So, I'm sorry. So same kind of thing. Like their team was way better at aiming than us. There's nothing that we could do to out aim them individually. So what we tried to do was like isolate one, because Zoe can kill like everybody on your team, but it's a lot harder for her to kill everybody on your team at one time. So that was kind of the idea behind this, is we just want to isolate players and play together.
Oh, I know what this is.
I hate this.
Yeah, they beat us 13-2 on the last match, but we won't talk about that. Does anybody have any questions? Does
Yes,
anybody
thank
have
you,
any
Mr.
questions about
question.
anything? Yeah.
I have a small one. I mean, I kind of have an idea, but if you kind of touched on it earlier, but if you can break down just a little bit more on the difference between a captain and an IGL and why some cheat teams will choose to have one of each or have
hmm
someone be both.
Yeah, absolutely. So the IGL is basically responsible for things like running the practice, for setting up the strategy, for making the in-game calls. Then the captain is usually the person in charge of like finding scrims, setting up like the match times and other things of that nature. So just like usually your captain will be the person like reporting scores, talking to the other team captain. So it's some responsibilities that make sense to fall into your IGL's hands if they, really like to be managing all that sort of thing. Me personally, I'm like really, really shy, so it's actually a big deal that I'm even doing this. So I just let Freya, do all that stuff with me, where they like talk to other people and get everything all set up. And that's kind of like just the main difference is that IGL is handling like all the in-game stuff, where the captain will be handling all of the kind of like out-of-game coordination sort of things.
Got it. Thank you.
Sweet. Anybody have any other questions? Hopefully you learned something. Maybe like one thing.
I have a question. Thanks so much for all this, by the way. You mentioned that often you guys don't do any, like, very little comp games.
Mm-hmm.
Is there a reason why that's the case? And
Mm-hmm.
yeah, just curious.
Yeah, so there is kind of like a specific reason behind that, and it's because in like comp games, the team that you're playing against will not be playing together and as cohesively as a unit as another, Gal League team or another whatever league team or another tournament league team. will be playing. So like for example, I think it would be fine to play a couple of comps if you just want to like try out some strats. Um, but to really get a feel for what it's like to play against like another disciplined team that's playing well together, um, you need to play against another team that is trying.
Okay.
Yeah, the comps are completely different than scrims or match games. Like totally
Yeah, because
different.
if you play too much comp, then you're going to get used to playing against a bunch of uncoordinated people. So if you get into a setting where you're playing in a game against a team that's like really well put together, well IGL'd, and well disciplined, then it's going to be like a huge shock to you when you start to see like teams doing a full execute on strategies with good timing and that sort of thing. Where the timing in competitive games is pretty different.
Mm, makes sense. Thank you.
No problem.
And where do you get your strategies for making plays, Kyla?
So actually, the job I have is really easy, and I have a lot of downtime. And I watch a shit ton, or sorry, ooh, I swore. I watch a ton of VOD reviews. So I just go into YouTube. I follow like quite a few right here. So oh, vid. I can't even spell VOD. Valorant. And I'll just pick like anything like those. So this is one of the ones I'm sub to, Valorant VODs. I could literally, this is 2 days ago, I could go watch the main event of something in the EU League, and I'll literally just like watch to see what these guys did pistol round, right? And just, oh wait, I didn't even have my stream screening. So Valorant VODs, just click on whatever one that you want. You could eventually like find ones with different matches if you just like scroll through a library. And then this is like a VCT team, main event team, and you could just like watch what they do, watch their team comps and that sort of thing. So say I want like a pistol round strat or just like an idea for a pistol round strat. This is also how I get like a lot of my setups, or like see how teams are playing setups. Because I'll just like watch and pause and watch and pause and stuff. So it looks like, in their pistol strat, I'll see that the Sova darts in, and then they just full send it. They just rush it, they have jet dash in. And then you want to take it into consideration too, and which is why it's good to like pause and slow down and watch again what they did. So they basically, had their jet dash into sight right after the Sova arrow. They smoked here and here, and they just sent it. They had the rain and go closed door right away, and they had the jet dash towards market side with like the Sova and the Omen following up a little bit later. Yeah, so that's usually how I get shots. And then just because I've been IGLing for so long, I just like come up with a couple on my own too on the spot just based on what I think the other team is gonna do. But that's more for like an advanced IGLing class versus 101.
Thanks.
I have a question now.
Mhm.
Will you be hosting, I guess, the sequel to this lesson or more advanced IGLing lessons?
I don't know. It depends if people liked this one or not. So
I would
yeah,
attend.
I did. Yeah, I would love more.
yeah,
This was very
maybe.
informative.
Cool, awesome. I'm glad to hear that. Yeah, because there's like a lot of higher level concepts that I left out, like in-depth trading is one, like more advanced setups, uh, you know, mid-round calls, reads, and those sorts of things that are a little bit too much for a 101 class, but are also very important, the higher competitive. Like if you're playing in the open division, there's like some Radiant and Immortal teams out there, and they're going to be doing all of those things. So you need to know how to do them too.
Yeah, I would attend a lesson on any of those things.
Sweet. Does anybody else have any other questions?
Does emoji that I could put in here?
Actually, I do.
Yeah.
How would you go about 2 new players that want to join your team? They're both super new, well, same skill level, but one likes to play Jet, but they're super slow, and the other person likes to play Omen, and they also like to play really aggressive. How would you deal with trying to adjust your team to that kind of format?
So that probably goes into like the very beginning of basically what I was talking about with player personalities and trying to like figure out what you have to work with. So like for example, I'm starting up like a new team right now, and a lot of the players are way better than me, and they're super good at getting picks on their own. So with that, I'd lean towards like more of a more defaulty style. But say you have a Jet that wants to play super slow, I'd probably just start with like asking them why they like to play Jet super slow. Um, unless they're an opper working picks, which is more of an op jet as opposed to an entry jet. And in Omen that's playing super aggressive wouldn't quite be the best fit because they need to stay alive since those are, you know, your controllers and your smokes. So I would probably take them aside like in a private conversation, so that way they don't like feel threatened or called out in front of a group, and just ask them first in kind of like a exploring conversation of what their thought process is behind why they're playing that way. Um, and then try and, you know, be an educator and be like, hey, so I've seen in like a lot of these pro VODs, the Jet players usually playing fairly aggressive and like dashing in. Is there any like particular reason why you like this slower style? Or the same thing, like maybe they watch a couple of too many Flex Ninja videos on Omen and they just want to paranoia and teleport behind them all the time. But you just have to explain that it's for the good of the team if you're playing your agent with how the role is supposed to be. And then you have like a tough decision to make. Maybe it's a decision that you make with your captain, or if you're the captain, you make that decision. But you really want to make sure that everybody's kind of on the same page for that. So, for example, if I had a duelist that was not kind of doing the role that I needed to have them do, I would first, you know, try and explain to them, let them get into the groove of it. But if eventually it didn't work out, maybe they could do an agent swap, maybe swap those 2 players. But if that doesn't work out, then you possibly, and this is a hard part about like being a captain or a coach, you might have to find somebody else that will, um, you know, play their agent how it's typically meant to be played.
Was my mic being weird?
I
I
don't
thought I was
know.
making, as long as
Yep.
I was afraid it was making a lot of noise. I saw it lighting up.
No, it wasn't.
Well, I think this was a really good foundational lesson, and that the follow-up lesson is something to be looked forward to.
I agree. And if anybody wants to go back to any of this, I have recorded it. So Days will most likely get that to you soon.
Cool. And if you guys want, like, you always just DM me too. I'm on my computer in Discord way too often. I always appear offline though, so just message me. I could help you out. Like if you have a couple of questions or if you have a sticky situation, like what Zoe was talking about. I actually majored communications and I have a huge communications background and like the best way to have that kind of conversation without, you know, like offending anybody or um, just having it in a way that's productive for both of you guys so you both win as opposed to, you know, anybody's feelings getting hurt.
I am so happy that this is being recorded because I could kick myself. I missed the time, so I came in late, and
That's
I'm
okay.
really bummed about that.
Well, yes, it's
Same.
being recorded. Or recorded. Oh my god. Not reported. Recorded. So you guys will have access to it.
Cool stuff. With that note, you guys, if you really want to, you can follow me on Twitter, Kyla Tuley.
Yeah, plug it. Plug it. I love that.
I'll post it in the little general help thing, I guess.
Thanks.
Alright guys, well, it was fun. I was really nervous, so sorry if I talk too fast. I do that sometimes. And have a good night. Bye.
Good night, everybody. 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 Everybody.